They said crossing Dante Mancini was a death sentence. They said his estate was a fortress of blood and secrets. They said his 3 sons were feral, untouchable, broken beyond repair. But nobody told Arya Penelope any of this, because by the time she learned the truth, she was already inside. The call came at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. Arya was awake, because she was always awake these days. Insomnia was a luxury you earned when your bank account hit zero and your landlord started leaving eviction notices that weren't threats anymore. They were promises. Her phone, a 3-year-old model with a cracked screen, buzzed on the kitchen counter. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but desperation makes you do stupid things. Hello, is this Arya Penelope? A woman's voice. Crisp. Professional. The kind of voice that came with a corner office and expense accounts. Yes. Who is this? Elite Domestic Services. We received your application for emergency placement positions. Arya sat up straighter on the sagging couch. She'd applied to 12 agencies last week. Most hadn't even responded. I'm listening. We have a high-priority client. Very high priority. The position is challenging, but the compensation is substantial. Arya's heart hammered. How substantial? 48-hour trial period. If you complete it successfully, $25,000. Cash, plus all expenses paid. The number hit Arya like a freight train at $25,000. That was rent for a year. That was Mia's medical bills. That was breathing room. That was survival. What's the catch? Arya asked, because nothing in life came free, especially not money like that. A pause on the other end. Too long. The client's previous 5 caregivers did not complete their trial periods. How long did they last? Another pause. The longest was 6 hours. Arya should have hung up, should have said thank you, but no thank you, and gone back to refreshing job sites at midnight. But she thought about Mia sleeping in the bedroom. 6 years old. Asthma. No insurance. And a mother who is 3 days away from being homeless. What's the address? A car will pick you up at 6 a.m. Pack for 2 days. And Miss Penelope? Yes. Don't research the family. Don't Google the address. Don't ask questions. If you want this job, you show up blind. The line went dead. Arya stared at her phone. Every instinct screamed run, but survival doesn't listen to instincts. The black SUV arrived at 5:58 a.m. It wasn't a car service. It was a tactical vehicle with tinted windows, so dark they looked like portals to another dimension. The driver didn't get out, didn't help with her suitcase, just unlocked the doors remotely. Arya kissed Mia goodbye, her daughter still asleep at the neighbor's apartment, and climbed in. The interior smelled like leather and gun oil. The driver was a wall of muscle in a black suit. Shaved head, scar across his temple. He didn't make small talk. Didn't even look at her in the rearview mirror. They drove north out of Queens, through Manhattan, into Westchester. The neighborhoods got richer. The houses got bigger. The gates got taller. And then they turned onto a private road that didn't appear on any map. Arya's phone lost signal. The trees grew denser, forming a canopy that blocked out the early morning sun. And at the end of the road, rising like something out of a Gothic nightmare, was the Mancini estate. It wasn't a house. It was a declaration of war. Gray stone. Black iron. Guard towers that weren't decorative. The gates opened automatically, groaning like the mouth of a beast. The SUV rolled up a driveway longer than some city blocks. Arya counted 6 security checkpoints. 12 armed guards. Cameras every 10 feet. What kind of family needs this much security? The SUV stopped at the front entrance. The driver finally spoke. You have 48 hours. The clock starts when you walk through that door. His voice was gravel and warning. Good luck. He didn't sound like he believed she'd need it. He sounded like he was offering eulogy. The front door was 15 feet tall. Solid oak. Iron hinges that looked like they could stop a tank. Arya pressed the bell that echoed inside like a death knell. Footsteps. Heavy. Slow. The door swung open, and standing there was a man who looked like God had gotten angry and carved a weapon out of marble. Dante Mancini, 6'4". Shoulders broad enough to block out the sun. Black hair, silver at the temples. A jawline that could cut glass. And eyes, oh God, his eyes, they were dark. Not brown. Dark. like staring into an abyss that stared back. He wore a three-piece charcoal suit that cost more than Arya's entire existence. A watch on his wrist that could buy a house. Cufflinks that caught the light like chips of ice. That he didn't smile, that didn't extend a hand. Just looked at her the way a wolf looks at prey. Miss Penelope. His voice was a low rumble. The kind of voice that made your spine straighten and your instincts scream danger. Mr. Mancini. Arya managed. Forcing her voice not to shake, he stepped aside. You're late. Arya checked her watch. 6:03 a.m. Traffic, I don't care. He turned and walked into the house, expecting her to follow. Arya hesitated for 1 second, where she could turn around, get back in the SUV, and walk away. But $25,000. She picked up her suitcase and stepped inside. The foyer was the size of a cathedral. Marble floors. Crystal chandelier hanging from a ceiling 30 feet high. A grand staircase that split in two directions. And silence. The kind of silence that wasn't peaceful, that it was suffocating. Dante led her down a hallway lined with oil paintings. Ancestors, probably. Men and women with hard eyes and harder mouths. That he opened a door to an office. Sit. It wasn't a request. Arya sat in a leather chair across from a massive mahogany desk. The desk was clean except for a single manila folder. Dante didn't sit. He stood behind the desk, hands clasped behind his back, looking down at her. The agency told you nothing. Correct. Good. Then let me be clear. He leaned forward, palms flat on the desk. I have 3 sons, 6 years old, triplets. Their mother died 2 years ago. Since then, they have destroyed 5 nannies, 3 tutors, and the sanity of every staff member in this house. I'm sorry for your loss. Arya said quietly. Dante's jaw tightened. I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm looking for results. You have 48 hours. If you last, you get paid. If you quit, you get nothing. If you call the police, the media, or anyone outside this house, you get sued into oblivion. He opened the folder, slid a single sheet of paper across the desk. Sign. Arya read it. It was an NDA, so airtight it could survive a nuclear blast. She thought about Mia. About the eviction notice. About the electricity bill she couldn't pay. She signed. Dante took the paper, placed it in a drawer, and finally sat down. The boys are in the East Wing. Breakfast is at 8. They haven't eaten a full meal in 3 weeks. They bite. They throw things. They scream. If you cry, they smell weakness. If you yell, they escalate. If you run, he smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. They win. Arya swallowed hard. Anything else I should know? Dante stood up, buttoning his suit jacket. Yes. Don't touch anything. Don't wander. And don't, under any circumstances, make me regret hiring you. He walked to the door, paused, and looked back. Oh, and Miss Penelope? Yes. Welcome to hell. How did a broke single mother with nothing to lose end up in the crosshairs of the most dangerous family in New York? How did a plate of caramelized bacon become a weapon of war? And how did the woman they said couldn't last 6 hours become the only person who could save them all? This is the story of Arya Penelope, the nanny who walked into hell and made it home. The East Wing smelled like chaos. Arya stood in the hallway outside the children's quarters, suitcase in hand, heart hammering. She could hear them, shouting, crashing, the unmistakable sound of something expensive being destroyed. She knocked. Silence. She knocked again. Go away. A child's voice. High-pitched. Furious. My name is Arya. I'm here to... We said go away. Something heavy hit the door from the inside. The wood shuddered. Arya took a breath. She'd raised Mia alone since her husband died. She worked 3 jobs. She'd survived eviction threats, bill collectors, and the kind of exhaustion that made you forget your own name. 36-year-olds weren't going to break her. She opened the door. The room looked like a war zone. Toys scattered everywhere. Books torn apart. A lamp shattered on the floor. Curtains ripped down. In the center of the destruction, standing on overturned couch, were 3 identical boys. Leo, Matteo, Enzo, mops of black curly hair. Storm gray eyes. Identical faces twisted in identical scowls. They stared at her. She stared back. Hi, Arya said calmly. I'm Arya. You must be the welcoming committee. Leo, She could tell he was the leader by the way the other two looked at him, crossed his arms. "You're gonna leave." They all leave. "Maybe," Arya said, setting her suitcase down. "But not before breakfast. What do you guys like to eat?" "Poison," Matteo said. "With arsenic," Enzo added. Arya nodded seriously. "Unfortunately, I'm fresh out of arsenic. How about pancakes instead?" Silence. The boys looked at each other, communicating in that eerie way twins, or in this case, triplets did. "We don't want pancakes," Leo said. "Okay, what do you want?" "We want you to leave." Arya sat down on the floor, right in the middle of the mess. She crossed her legs, folded her hands in her lap, and looked up at them. "I'm not leaving. Not for 48 hours. So we can spend the next 2 days throwing things at each other, or we can figure out how to make this less miserable. Your choice." More silence. Then Leo picked up a toy truck and threw it at her head. Arya caught it, one-handed. The boys froze. Arya examined the truck. "Red. Metal. Vintage. Nice throw," she said. "But your aim's off. You were going for my face, and you hit my hand. Want me to show you how to fix that?" She set the truck down gently and stood up. "I'll be in the kitchen. If you want to eat, come down. If you want to stay up here and destroy more stuff, that's fine too. But just so you know, this room, it's yours. You want to trash it, trash it. But the consequence is you're the ones living in garbage." She walked to the door, paused, looked back. "Your mom wouldn't want you living like this." The air in the room changed. It went cold. Leo's face crumpled. Just for a second. Then he rebuilt the mask. "You don't know anything about our mom." "You're right," Arya said softly. "But I know what it's like to lose someone. And I know that destroying things doesn't bring them back." She left, closed the door, and stood in the hallway, shaking. Day 1. Hour 1. "Don't cry. Don't you dare cry." The kitchen was massive. Industrial-grade appliances. Marble countertops. A refrigerator the size of a small room. And one terrified woman in a chef's uniform. "You must be Maria," Arya said. The woman jumped, clutching a wooden spoon like a weapon. "Dios mio. You're the new nanny. For the next 48 hours, yeah." Maria crossed herself. "You're braver than you look. Or dumber. Haven't decided yet." Maria didn't smile. "The boys. They don't eat. Senor Mancini is very worried. But they throw the food. They spit. I got it," Arya said, rolling up her sleeves. "I'll handle breakfast. You just point me to the ingredients." Maria hesitated. Then she opened the fridge. "Buena suerte," she whispered. "Good luck." Arya made scrambled eggs. Toast. Fresh fruit. Simple. Non-threatening. She set 3 plates at the massive dining table and waited. The boys didn't come down. 30 minutes passed. The food got cold. Arya didn't move. At 8:45, Dante Mancini walked in. He looked at the untouched plates. At Arya, sitting alone. "They didn't eat." "Nope. You didn't force them." "Nope." Dante's eyes narrowed. "I'm not paying you to sit. You're paying me to last 48 hours, Arya said, meeting his gaze. "Nowhere in the contract does it say I have to make them do anything. It says I have to try. Try harder." He turned and walked out. Arya looked at the cold eggs. Hour 3. 45 to go. At noon, Arya went back upstairs. The door to the boys' room was closed. Locked from the inside. "Guys, I'm coming in." "No, you're not." Arya tried the handle. "Locked," she sighed. Pulled a bobby pin from her hairpoint. 10 seconds later, the lock clicked. She pushed the door open, and her foot caught on fishing line. She stumbled but didn't fall. Looked down. A tripwire strung across the doorway at ankle height. Behind it, a bucket balanced on the doorframe, full of what looked like paint that if she'd fallen forward, the bucket would have tipped. Drenched her. Arya stepped over the wire carefully, looked up at the bucket. "You missed a step," she called out to the empty room. "If you're going to booby-trap a door, you need a backup plan. What if someone doesn't fall?" Giggles erupted from the closet. Arya walked over. Open at point. 3 boys stared up at her, eyes wide. "Not bad for a first attempt," Arya said. "But next time, use glue instead of paint. Paint washes out. Glue doesn't." She closed the closet door, walked to the bathroom, washed her hands, and grinned. "They're testing me. Good. Let them test." By 6 p.m., Arya was exhausted. The boys had tried 4 more traps. None of them worked. They'd screamed, thrown things, locked themselves in different rooms, but they hadn't broken her. And that, Arya realized, was making them curious. Maria delivered dinner on a tray, refused to enter the dining room. They bite, she hissed. Arya took the tray. Spaghetti and meatballs. She walked into the dining room. The boys were already seated, waiting. She set the plates down, sat at the head of the table. Eat. It's poisoned, Leo said. Probably, Arya agreed. Maria's been trying to kill me all day. She picked up a fork, took a huge bite of Leo's plate, chewed, swallowed, waited. See? Still alive. Now eat. Matteo whispered something to Enzo. Enzo whispered back. Leo's eyes narrowed. You're not scared of Papa. Why would I be? Because he's dangerous. So, am I? Arya said. I'm a single mom with nothing to lose. That's the most dangerous thing in the world. Leo almost smiled. Almost. They ate 3 bites each. It was progress. Arya woke to the sound of hell. Fire alarm. Shrieking through the house, she bolted out of bed, grabbed her robe, and ran into the hallway. Chaos. Guards running. Staff shouting. And then she collided with a wall of muscle. Dante shirtless. Gun in hand. Eyes wild. Where are they? He barked. Who? The boys? I don't know. I just find them. A guard shouted from the end of the hall. False alarm, boss. Someone pulled the east wing lever. Dante lowered the gun. Slowly, his chest was heaving. Arya could see scars. Old ones. Bullet wounds. Knife wounds. Burns. He turned to her, his eyes blazed. Control them, Miss Penelope. Or leave. He stormed off, leaving Arya standing there, trembling. Not from fear of the alarm, from the realization of what she'd just seen. Dante Mancini wasn't just a father, he was a soldier, always expecting an attack. The next day was worse. They glued her shoes to the floor, hid her phone, reprogrammed the TV to only play static. Enzo looked her dead in the eye and said, Our mom is coming back. You should just leave. That one hurt. Arya knew the file. Their mother had died in a car bombing. A hit meant for Dante. The boys were in the back seat. They watched her burn to be evening. Arya was sitting on the hallway floor, head in her hands. She was covered in paint. Another trap. Her hair was a mess. Her patience was gone. Footsteps. Dante. He stopped. Looked down at her. There's a car waiting. It'll take you to the train station. Arya looked up. I have 12 hours left. You look defeated. Arya stood up. I look like a mother. And I'm not going anywhere. Dante stared at her. Something flickered in his eyes. Surprise. Respect. He stepped closer. Too close. Why? His voice was low. Dangerous. Why stay? They hate you. They don't hate me. Arya said. They hate that they're lonely. And frankly, so are you. The silence stretched. Dante looked like he might kiss her. Or strangle her. Be careful, Arya. You see things that aren't there. He walked away, but he didn't call the car. Hour 47. The boys refused to get out of bed. Hunger strike. The house was in a panic. Dante was shouting into his phone in Italian. Arya walked into the kitchen. Maria, I need flour, milk, eggs, bacon, brown sugar, cinnamon. Maria stared. What are you making? Magic. 30 minutes later, the smell wafted through the ventilation system. Sweet. Salty. Warm. Comfort. Arya carried the platter upstairs. Sat outside the boys' door. It's a shame, she said loudly. This caramelized bacon is the best I've ever made. And these pancakes have chocolate chips inside. Guess I'll have to eat them all. She took a bite. Made an exaggerated noise. The door creaked open. 3 pairs of eyes peered out. Chocolate chips. Enzo whispered. And secret syrup. But you have to sit with me. On the floor. Picnic style. Slowly, they came out. Saturday 8. And then, laughter. Real, genuine laughter. Arya wiped syrup off Matteo's nose. Down the hall, Dante stood frozen. He gripped the doorframe. He hadn't heard that sound in 730 days. He looked at the woman on the floor. Covered in paint. Hair a mess. Feeding his sons, and something in his chest cracked. Hour 48. The check sat on Dante's desk. Arya stared at it. Freedom. Rent. Air. You won, Dante said quietly. The money is yours. Arya reached for it. His hand landed on the desk, stopping her. "We have a problem." Arya froze. They haven't laughed in 2 years. Today they did. "If you leave now, you destroy that." He stood, walked to the window. "I can't let you do that." "You can't let me." Arya's spine straightened. "I have a daughter. A life. I can't stay here. Bring her." The words hung in the air. "Excuse me. Bring your daughter. Mia, you'll live here. Triple the salary. Full security. You want me to bring my child into this fortress?" Dante turned. "Step close. I'm dangerous to my enemies. To those under my protection, I'm the safest place on earth." Arya's breath caught that he was right, and that terrified her. The decision was made in the span of a heartbeat. Arya looked at Dante Mancini, this man who was equal parts monster and father, and thought about Mia sleeping on a neighbor's couch. Thought about the eviction notice. Thought about the electricity bill. Thought about 3 little boys who had laughed for the first time in 2 years because she made them pancakes. "One condition," Arya said. Dante raised an eyebrow. "You're in no position to negotiate." "One condition," she repeated, voice firm. "My daughter stays safe. Whatever you do, whatever this life is, she doesn't see it. She doesn't know. She stays innocent." Dante's jaw tightened. For a moment, his eyes went distant, haunted. "Agreed. And if I ever feel she's in danger, real danger, I leave. No questions. No contracts. I take her and go. You won't make it past the gates. Then you better make sure I never feel that way." They stared at each other. A battle of wills in the silence of his office. Finally, Dante extended his hand. "Deal." Arya took it. His grip was strong, warm. It lingered a second too long. When he released her hand, Arya could still feel the heat of his palm. The move happened in 48 hours. Black SUVs, silent men in dark suits. They packed up Arya's entire apartment, which took all of 20 minutes because she owned almost nothing, and transported it to the estate. Mia was confused but excited. "Mommy, is this like a vacation?" Arya knelt down, cupped her daughter's face. "It's like a new job, baby. We're going to live somewhere else for a while. There are other kids there. 3 boys your age. Will they like me?" Arya's throat tightened. "I don't know, sweetie, but you're going to be brave, okay? Remember the rules. Stay close to you. Don't talk to strangers. Don't wander. Good girl." When they arrived at the estate, Mia's eyes went wide. "Mommy, is this a castle?" "Sort of. Are we princesses now?" Arya laughed. It sounded hollow. "Something like that." They were given a suite in the West Wing. 2 bedrooms connected by a sitting room. A bathroom with a tub the size of a small pool. Windows that overlooked the gardens. It was beautiful. It was also a cage. The windows didn't open. Bulletproof glass. The doors had keypads. Security cameras in every corner. Mia didn't notice, but Arya did. The encounter happened that first afternoon. Arya was unpacking in the sitting room when she heard footsteps. Heavy, small, synchronized. She turned. The triplets stood in the doorway. Leo in front, Matteo and Enzo flanking him like bodyguards. They stared at Mia, who was sitting on the floor arranging her stuffed animals. Mia looked up. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Then Mia stood up, clutching her one-eared rabbit. "Hi, I'm Mia. I'm 6. We're 6, Enzo whispered. Matteo pointed at the rabbit. "That rabbit only has 1 ear. He was in a war," Mia said solemnly. Leo stepped closer, examined Mia like a scientist examining a specimen. "Can you throw?" "Throw what?" "Stuff, I guess." Leo looked at Arya. "Does she bite?" "Only when provoked," Arya said, biting back a smile. Leo considered this. "Fine. She can see the playroom, but she can't touch the red truck. That's mine." It wasn't a hug, but in the Mancini house, it was a peace treaty. That night, Arya couldn't sleep. She wandered downstairs at 2 a.m., looking for water. The house was dark, silent. Shadows stretched long across the marble floors. She passed the library. The door was ajar. Light spilled out. She heard voices. She should have kept walking. Should have respected privacy. But curiosity was a dangerous drug. She stopped. Listened. The shipment at the docks was compromised. A rough voice. "Silas, Dante's head of security. Let them try. Dante's voice. Cold. Hard. They're not just targeting business anymore. They're looking for weaknesses. The boys. The woman. Arya's blood went cold. The woman is not a weakness. She is staff. She is nothing. The words hit like a physical blow. She is nothing. Arya stepped back, heart pounding. Her foot scraped against marble. Who's there? Dante's voice, sharp as a blade. Arya stepped into the light, clutching her robe. Just me. Getting water. Dante's face was a mask of cold fury. But as he looked at her, bare feet, messy hair, vulnerability in her eyes, something shifted. He dismissed Silas with a wave. The door closed, leaving them alone. How much did you hear? Dante asked, walking toward her. Enough. Enough to know you're in danger? Enough to know I'm nothing to you. Dante stopped. His jaw worked. I said that to protect you. That's what they all say. If my enemies think you matter, you become a target. If they think you're nothing, you're safe. And do I? Arya whispered. Do I matter? Dante reached out. His hand hovered inches from her cheek. The air crackled. You're the only person who has made my son smile in 730 days, he said, voice hoarse. You matter too much, and that's why you should have left. He pulled his hand back, turned away. Go to bed, Arya. Lock your door. 3 days passed in strange, fragile routine. Arya made breakfast. The boys ate, not much, but something. Mia integrated herself into their fierce little pack. When she scraped her knee in the garden, Enzo ran for bandages. Matteo threatened to punch the ground. Leo gave her his red truck. For 5 whole minutes. It was progress, but Arya felt eyes on her constantly. The guards doubled. The gates never opened. She was protected. She was also trapped. Thursday afternoon, the sun finally broke through gray clouds. Arya took the children to the garden. Roses, stone fountains, high hedges forming a labyrinth. The boys chased Mia. Mia chased them back. For a moment, it felt normal. Arya sat on a stone bench, watching. They looked normal. She jumped. Dante stood behind the bench. No suit jacket today. Just a white dress shirt, sleeves rolled up. Forearms corded with muscle and ink. A tattoo of a cross wrapped around his wrist. They are normal, Arya said, moving over. To her surprise, he sat. The bench wasn't large. His thigh pressed against her leg. The contact sent electricity through her. They weren't, Dante corrected. Not until you. They sat in silence, watching the children. It felt intimate, domestic, like they were parents watching their children, not a boss and employee. How did she die? Arya asked softly. Dante's smile vanished. Car bomb. We were leaving a gala. I was supposed to drive, but I took a call. She got in first. His voice was void of emotion, which was worse than tears. The boys were in the back seat. The blast through the car. The armored chassis held in the back, but the front. He stopped. The fire took her. I couldn't open the door. My men had to drag me away. Arya's hand flew to her mouth. That's why they're broken. Dante continued. That's why I'm a monster. I failed to protect the only thing that mattered. Arya didn't think. She reached out, covered his hand with hers. You're not a monster. You're a man who's still burning in that fire. Dante looked at their joined hands. This time, he didn't pull away. He turned his hand over, interlaced his fingers with hers. His grip was strong, desperate. He looked at her mouth. Arya. The air grew thin. He leaned in. Arya's heart hammered. She wanted him to kiss her. God help her. She wanted the monster to kiss her. Crack. The sound wasn't loud, like a dry branch snapping. But Dante moved with terrifying speed. He tackled Arya off the bench, driving her into the dirt behind the stone structure. Stay down. Another crack. A chunk of the bench where Arya's head had been exploded into dust. A sniper. Boys, get down. Dante roared, his voice echoing across the garden. Across the lawn, the children froze. Mia screamed. Silas. Dante bellowed into his lapel mic. Sector 4. We are under fire. Get the children. His body covered Arya's, shielding her completely. She could feel his heart pounding, not in fear, in the rapid, controlled rhythm of a predator entering combat. Dante, the kids. Silas has them. Don't move. If you lift your head, you die. Gunfire erupted from the perimeter wall. Automatic fire. Dante's guards returning engagement. The peace of the garden shattered. Dante shifted, pulling a handgun from the holster at the small of his back. He looked down at her, face streaked with dirt, eyes wild. "I told you," he hissed. "I told you to leave. Now you're in the war." He rolled off her, crouched low, began firing toward the tree line. As Arya lay trembling in the dirt, watching the man she'd almost kissed turn into a killer, she realized. The romantic tension wasn't the danger. The caramelized bacon wasn't the solution. The enemy hadn't sent a warning. They declared an execution. And Arya Penelope was no longer just the nanny. She was collateral damage. The panic room was behind a false bookcase in the basement. Reinforced steel, recycled air, luxury without windows. It felt like a tomb. Arya sat on a leather sofa, stroking Mia's hair. Her daughter had finally fallen asleep, clutching the one-eared rabbit. The triplets huddled together on the floor, playing cards in silence. They weren't crying, weren't asking questions. Their stoicism was more heartbreaking than tears. They were soldiers in miniature. Waiting. The steel door hissed open. Dante walked in. His white shirt was ruined. Grass, dirt, and a bloom of crimson spreading from his left shoulder. Silas followed, holding a tablet, speaking into an earpiece. "Secure the perimeter," Dante ordered, voice flat. "If a squirrel crosses the lawn, I want to know. And find out how they knew we were in the garden." That schedule wasn't public. Silas nodded and left. The door sealed. Dante stood in the center of the room. Caged animal. Volatile energy. He ran a hand through his hair. Looked at the boys. Counted them. 1, 2, 3. Then Mia. 4. Only then did his eyes slide to Arya. "Are you hurt?" Not a question. A demand. "No." "Good." He sat heavily in an armchair. Arya stood. Walked to him. "You're bleeding through your shirt. Sit still. I need to make calls." "You need to sit down." Her voice wasn't loud, but it was steel. For a moment, Dante looked ready to argue. Then he sank deeper into the chair. "Surrender." Arya retrieved the medical kit, knelt between his legs. The intimacy was immediate. She could smell gunpowder, blood, his musk. "This will ruin the shirt." "Buy me a new one," he rasped. She cut the fabric away. The wound was ugly. A deep gash where stone shrapnel had sliced through muscle. She soaked gauze in antiseptic. "This will sting." Dante didn't blink. He watched her face as she worked. "You didn't scream," he said softly. "In the garden. Most people scream. I was too busy trying not to die. You were calm." "Panic is a luxury," Arya said, pressing gauze to the wound. "We don't have that luxury right now." Dante's eyes searched hers. He reached up, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. His thumb grazed her cheekbone. "I almost got you killed," he whispered. "I was distracted. I was looking at your mouth instead of the tree line." He paused. "I let my guard down because I wanted—" "You wanted to be a man instead of a Don," Arya finished. She rested her hand on his chest, over his heart. "Don't apologize for that." "I have to, because being a man gets people killed. Being the Don keeps them alive." He pulled away, breaking contact. The coldness settled over her. "Finish the bandage. Then sleep. We're in lockdown until I find the leak." Arya taped the gauze in silence. She understood. He was retreating, building walls, becoming the monster because he believed the monster was the only thing that could save them. But it was too late. She'd already seen the terrified, loving man beneath. Time became meaningless in the bunker. No windows, no natural light, just the rhythmic hum of air filtration. By morning, or what felt like morning, the children were restless. The triplets dismantled furniture to build a fort. Mia helped, fully inducted into their chaos. Dante spent the entire time in the corner, glued to his laptop and satellite phone, speaking rapid-fire Italian. His mood was thunderous. "Whoever it is," he told Silas during a food delivery, "they're good. No unauthorized calls. No encrypted messages." The perimeter alarms were looped on a 10-second delay. That requires clearance level 4. Arya was folding blankets nearby. Her ears pricked. Clearance level 4. Inner circle. Household staff. Senior guards. "I've interrogated a shift," Silas said. "Nothing. Starting on night crew now." "Snipers don't rely on luck," Dante snapped. They knew the time, the location. Someone told them. Silas left. Dante slammed his laptop shut. The delay, Arya said suddenly. Both men, Dante was still in the room, turned. What? You said the alarms were looped. Like in movies. A recording playing over the real feed. Yes. What? 2 nights ago, I couldn't sleep. I was walking the East Wing hallway. I heard a radio. Static, but not like bad reception. Rhythmic. Like interference when you put a cell phone near a speaker. Dante's eyes narrowed. Our radios are encrypted. Digital. No static. Exactly. Dante stood. The baby monitors. Silas went pale. The old system in the nursery. We never removed the wiring when the boys outgrew it. If someone tapped into the hard line, Dante said, voice deadly quiet, they could turn it into a transmitter. A listening device that bypasses digital sweeps. In the nursery, Arya added, stomach churning, overlooks the rose garden. Who has access to the East Wing utility closet? Dante asked. Silas hesitated. Low security. Housekeeping, maintenance, and the private tutor. Mr. Sterling? The old man who teaches French? Arya frowned. He can barely walk. He walks fine when he thinks no one's watching. Everyone froze. They turned to look at Leo, who'd poked his head out of the blanket fort. Mr. Sterling runs to his car when it rains. Fast. And he has a burner phone. I saw it in his bag. Dante moved. He didn't run. He blurred. Grabbed his gun. Was at the door in a second. Silas, stay with them. Seal the door. If I don't come back in 10 minutes, initiate Protocol 0. Dante, Arya cried, rushing toward him. He stopped. Hand on the keypad. Look back. He's scheduled for a lesson at 2 p.m. He's in the library. Waiting. Dante opened the door and vanished. The door hissed shut. Protocol 0, Arya said, turning to Silas. What is that? It means I collapse the ventilation shafts and we wait for extraction. It means the house is compromised. He's walking into a trap, Arya said, realization hitting. If Sterling knows we're in lockdown, he knows Dante will come for him. He's not waiting to teach French. Dante can handle himself. Not if he's emotional. He's angry. He's not thinking clearly. Silas hesitated. He knew she was right. Watch the kids, Arya said, grabbing a brass candlestick from a side table. Ridiculous. Useless against a gun. But it was something. Miss Penelope, I can't. You have to protect the children. That's your directive. My directive is to make sure your boss doesn't get a bullet in his head. She stood by the keypad. Open it or I start screaming and wake Mia. And I promise you a screaming 6-year-old is worse than the Mafia. Silas looked at her. Saw desperation. Loyalty. Fierce determination. He punched in the code. 5 minutes. Then I seal it for good. Arya slipped into the hallway. Silent. Dark. Cold. She moved barefoot across marble. Candlestick heavy in her hand. Heart hammering like a trap bird. She crept upstairs toward the library. The double doors were closed. She pressed her ear to the wood. Voices. You really thought you could hide her? A voice sneered. Not the trembling voice of an old tutor. Younger. Sharper. Sterling dropping the act. The Russos pay better, Mancini. And they promised me a seat at the table. You won't have a seat, Dante's voice rumbled. You'll have a shallow grave. Maybe, but not today. Click. The sound of a gun hammer being pulled back. Arya didn't think, didn't calculate odds, didn't consider she was a broke single mom going up against a hitman. She gripped the candlestick with both hands, kicked the door open, and screamed, H-E-Y. Sterling flinched, eyes darting to the doorway. That split second was all Dante needed. He lunged, covered the distance like a striking cobra, grabbed Sterling's wrist, twisted with a sickening snap. The gun clattered to the floor. Dante drove his knee into Sterling's gut, doubled him over, slammed his head onto the desk. Silence. Sterling unconscious. Dante stood over him, chest heaving, slowly turned his head. Arya stood in the doorway, holding the candlestick like a baseball bat. Panting, Dante looked at the unconscious hitman, at the candlestick, at Arya. You, he breathed, taking a step toward her, are completely insane. I was helping. Arya dropped the brass object. Her knees gave out. Dante caught her, pulled her into his chest, buried his face in her neck. He was shaking. The mighty Dante Mancini was shaking. "You saved my life," he whispered into her skin. "We're even." Dante pulled back, framed her face with his hands. No more walls. No more boss and nanny. Just a man and a woman who'd walked through fire. "No," Dante said, voice rough. "We are not even. We are just beginning." This time, no sniper interrupted. He kissed her. Possession. Relief. Promise. It tasted of danger and survival. They broke apart, breathless, and the radio on Sterling's belt crackled to life. "Phase is down. Move in. Burn the house." Dante froze. Looked at Arya, eyes hardening to diamond. "They're not sending a sniper," he said, pulling her toward the door. "They're sending an army." The run back to the basement was terror and motion. Glass shattered in the distance. Muffled thump, thump, thump of suppressed gunfire from upper floors. Dante shoved Arya and Sterling's unconscious body into the hallway, dragged them toward the secret entrance. Punched the code. Steel door hissed open. Inside, Silas stood, weapon raised. Lowered it when he saw Dante. "They're inside," Dante said, dumping Sterling in the corner. "Silas, give me the assault rifle. You take the sidearm. Guard the door from inside." "Dante," Arya grabbed his arm. "You can't go out there alone. You said it's an army." Dante turned, took her face in his hands. "I'm not alone. I have everything to fight for. For 2 years, I fought because I wanted to die. Today, I fight because I want to live." He looked over her shoulder at the children. "Keep them safe. If I don't come back, don't you dare." Arya hissed, tears spilling. "Don't you dare leave me with 4 kids alone. You come back, Dante Mancini. That's an order." A ghost of a smile touched his lips. "Yes, ma'am." He grabbed the rifle, vanished into the corridor. The door sealed with a final, tomb-like clang. For 20 minutes, hell reigned above them. Arya sat on the floor, arms wrapped around all 4 children. She hummed the lullaby she used to sing to Mia, a soft melody battling vibrations of explosions shaking the ceiling. Dust rained down. Leo buried his face in her shirt. Mia held Enzo's hand, a single, terrified nod of humanity. Then silence. Absolute. Ringing. Silence. Arya held her breath. Silas stood by the door, sweat dripping, finger on the trigger. The keypad beeped. Silas tensed. Arya stopped breathing. The door groaned open. Dante stood there, shirt torn, face bruised, covered in dust and plaster, but standing. Behind him, morning light filtered through a broken window. "Is it over?" Arya whispered. Dante dropped the rifle, walked over, collapsed to his knees in front of them, gathered them all into a massive, crushing hug, buried his face in Arya's shoulder, shaking with aftershocks of adrenaline. "It's finished," he rasped. "The Russos are gone. The police are on the payroll. They'll handle cleanup. We're safe." Relief crashed over them. The triplets started crying, finally releasing fear. Mia patted Dante's messy hair. "You look like a monster, Mr. Dante." Dante pulled back, looked at the little girl, at his sons, at Arya. His eyes were shining. "I was a monster, Mia. But I think I'm ready to be a dad again." Hours later, the house was a crime scene. Police tape. Forensics. Body bags being carried out. Dante stood in his office with Silas and his lawyer. "The Russo family is done," Silas reported. "We took out their leadership. They're soldiers. They're suppliers. It's over." Dante nodded. "And Sterling? In federal custody, singing like a canary. He'll disappear into witness protection after he testifies." "Good." The lawyer cleared his throat. "There's the matter of Miss Penelope and her daughter. They witnessed." "They witnessed nothing," Dante said, voice cold. "They were in the panic room the entire time." "Is that clear?" "Crystal. And the NDA she signed covers everything. If anyone asks, she's private staff. Off limits." The lawyer nodded and left. Silas lingered. "Boss, the woman. She saved your life. I know. You care about her. I know that too. That makes her a target." Dante looked up, eyes hard. "Then we make sure no one dares to target her. Spread the word, Silas. Arya Penelope and her daughter are under my personal protection. Anyone who touches them answers to me." "Understood." Silas left. Dante sat alone in the wreckage of his office. And for the first time in 2 years, he smiled. Not because of violence. Because of her. The kitchen smelled different now. Not like fear. Like cinnamon rolls and coffee. Arya stood at the stove, flipping pancakes. She wasn't wearing thrift store clothes anymore. Silk robe. Hair in a messy bun. And on her finger, a diamond ring. Heavy enough to anchor a boat. Incoming. Leo shouted. The triplets and Mia thundered into the kitchen. Backpacks. Laughter. Chaos. They scrambled onto stools. Mateo pushed me. Did not. Did too. Enough. Dante walked in. Not in a suit. Jeans. Black t-shirt. He looked younger. Lighter. He walked to the boys, ruffled their hair, kissed Mia on the forehead. Then he went to the stove, wrapped his arms around Arya from behind, rested his chin on her shoulder. Security team is ready for the school run, he murmured against her ear. And the adoption papers for Mia are on my desk. Just need your signature. Arya leaned back into him, felt the steady beat of his heart, turned in his arms, looped hers around his neck. You know, she smiled. Most nannies get fired after 48 hours. Dante kissed her. Slow, deep, tasting of syrup and forever. You were never the nanny, Arya, he whispered. You were the salvation. He picked up a piece of bacon, winked at his sons, and smiled. A real, genuine smile. Now feed the army. We have a life to live. Flashback to 6 weeks earlier. The house renovations were almost complete. New windows. Fresh paint. Light replacing darkness. The boys were in bed. Mia too. Arya and Dante sat in the renovated library. A fire crackled. Rain drummed against bulletproof glass. I need to tell you something, Dante said. Arya looked up from her book. His face was serious. Okay, when I asked you to stay, I told myself it was for the boys. That they needed you. They did. They do, Dante corrected. But so do I. He set down his drink, turned to face her fully. I've done terrible things, Arya. I've hurt people, killed people, built an empire on blood and fear. I'm not a good man. I know. But when I'm with you, when I'm with all of you, I remember what it feels like to be human, to want to be better, to believe I can be. Arya reached out, took his hand. You are better, Dante. You're trying. That's what matters. I want to keep trying. With you. Forever. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a small black box. Arya's breath caught. Dante, I'm not asking you to marry a Mafia Don. I'm asking you to marry a man who loves you, who loves your daughter like she's his own, who wants to build a life that's more than just survival. He opened the box. The ring was stunning. A diamond surrounded by smaller stones. Old-fashioned. Elegant. It was my grandmother's, Dante said. She was the only person in my family who believed in love. I want you to have it. Tears streamed down Arya's face. Yes. Yes. Yes, you idiot. Yes. Dante slid the ring on her finger, pulled her into his lap, kissed her like she was oxygen. I don't deserve you, he whispered against her lips. No, Arya agreed. But you're going to spend the rest of your life trying to. Deal. Present day. The black SUV pulled up to a private elementary school. Not a public school. Too dangerous. This one had security. Background checks. Discretion. The back doors opened. For children tumbled out. Leo, Mateo, Enzo, and Mia. Laughing. Arguing. Backpacks bouncing. Remember the rules. Arya called from the front seat. Stay together, they chorused. And don't tell anyone about home. Good. Love you guys. Love you too, Mom. They ran toward the entrance. Arya watched them go, her chest tight with emotion. They called you Mom, Dante said quietly from the driver's seat. I noticed. How does that feel? Arya looked at him. This man who'd been a monster and was learning to be human. It feels like home. Dante reached over, squeezed her hand. So does this. But peace in the underworld is always temporary. That afternoon, Dante's phone rang. He looked at the screen. His face went hard. I need to take this. He walked into his office, closed the door. Arya knew better than to eavesdrop. But 20 minutes later, when he came out, his face was gray. What's wrong? Nothing you need to worry about. Dante. He sighed, ran a hand through his hair. The Calabrese family. They're making moves. Trying to fill the power vacuum the Russos left. Are we in danger? No. I'll handle it. Ow. The way I always do. Arya grabbed his arm. You promised. You promised you were stepping back, that you were done with this life. I'm stepping back, but I can't step away completely. Not yet. Not while there are still threats. When will it end, Dante? When will we be safe? He cupped her face. I will make sure you're safe. All of you. Whatever it takes. That's what I'm afraid of. That night, after the kids were asleep, Arya and Dante sat on the balcony of their bedroom. Stars above. Guards below. I need to know something, Arya said. Anything. When you say you're stepping back from the family business, what does that actually mean? Dante was silent for a long moment. It means I'm not running operations anymore. My nephew, Carlo, is taking over day to day. I'm more of an advisor now. A figurehead. But you're still involved. Yes. And you always will be. Yes. Arya nodded slowly. Okay. I went into this with my eyes open, Dante. I knew who you were. What you were. I'm not asking you to be someone else. She turned to look at him. But I'm asking you to be honest. Don't protect me by hiding things. Don't make decisions for me. Let me choose to stay. Dante pulled her close. I can do that. Promise. I promise. They sat in silence. The Calabrese threat, Arya said after a while. Is it serious? It could be. Then we handle it. Together. Dante looked at her. Together? You think I fought my way into this family just to sit on the sidelines? A smile tugged at his lips. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting we're smarter than them. Use it. Explain. Arya leaned forward. They're expecting the old Dante Mancini, the one who responds to threats with violence. But what if we do something they don't expect? Like what? Diplomacy. Dante laughed. You want me to negotiate with the Calabrese family? Why not? You have something they want, territory, connections, legitimacy. And they have something you want, peace. Make a deal. It's not that simple. It never is. But it's worth trying. Before the bullets start flying. Dante studied her. You really believe that? I believe you're smarter than you give yourself credit for. And I believe you want a different life for our children. This is how you get it. Dante was quiet. Then he pulled out his phone, dialed a number. Silas. Set up a meeting with the Calabrese. Neutral location. Just talking. No weapons. He listened to the response. Because my fiancée thinks I should try diplomacy before I try murder. And she's usually right. He hung up, looked at Arya. This is either brilliant or insane. Arya grinned. With us, it's usually both. The meeting was set for the following week. A restaurant in Little Italy. Public enough to discourage violence. Private enough for sensitive conversation. Dante wore a suit. Arya wore armor disguised as an elegant black dress. They walked in together. The Calabrese Don, Salvatore, was already seated. 2 bodyguards flanking him. He stood when they approached. Looked at Dante, then at Arya. Mancini. And this must be the famous Nanny. Fiancée, Dante corrected. And future wife. Salvatore smiled. I heard you gone soft. I heard you gone stupid, Dante replied. But here we are. Both wrong. They sat. Arya placed her hand on Dante's thigh under the table. A reminder, diplomacy. Why are we here? Salvatore asked. Because war is expensive, Arya said before Dante could respond. And you're smart enough to know that. Salvatore's eyes narrowed. You let your woman speak for you now. I let my partner contribute, Dante said. You should try it sometime. Arya continued. You want the territory the Russos left behind. We understand that. But taking it by force means casualties. Money. Attention from law enforcement. None of which are good for business. And you have a better idea? A partnership, Arya said. You get 60% of the territory. We keep 40. We split the profits from a port. And we form an alliance that keeps other families from moving in. Salvatore laughed. You're giving me the better deal. Why? Because Dante is stepping back, Arya said. He's focusing on his family. His legitimate businesses. He doesn't want war. But make no mistake, he's capable of it. She leaned forward. You can try to take what you want by force. Maybe you win. Maybe you lose. Or you can take what we're offering right now, shake hands, and we all go home to our families. Your choice. Salvatore looked at Dante. She always this direct? Always. I like her. He extended his hand. Deal. 60-40 split. Alliance. We put it in writing. Dante shook his hand. And just like that, a war was averted, with words instead of bullets. As they walked out of the restaurant, Dante turned to Arya. You're terrifying. You know that. I learned from the best. I love you. I know. But as they drove home, Arya couldn't shake the feeling that peace was fragile. That somewhere, someone was watching, waiting, planning, and the next threat wouldn't be as easy to talk down. The estate gardens had been transformed. White roses everywhere, string lights in the trees, an arch covered in jasmine and ivy. 200 guests, half legitimate business associates, half less legitimate. But today, none of that mattered. Today, it was about family. Arya stood in the bridal suite, staring at herself in the mirror. The dress was simple, elegant, ivory silk that flowed like water. Her hair was down, loose waves, minimal makeup. She looked like herself, just happier. A knock at the door. Come in. Mia entered, wearing a light blue flower girl dress. Behind her, the triplets in matching little suits. Mom, Mia said, eyes wide. You look like a princess. You look like one too, baby. Leo stepped forward, held out a small box. Papa said to give you this. Arya opened it. Inside was a necklace, a delicate gold chain with a small bird pendant. The same bird from the bracelet he'd given her months ago. Freedom, safety, home. Arya's eyes filled with tears. Help me put on. Leo carefully fastened it around her neck. Papa also said to tell you he's nervous. Arya laughed. The man who faced down an army is nervous? He said marrying you is scarier than any war. Good. He should be. The ceremony was beautiful. Arya walked down the aisle alone. No one to give her away because she'd given herself. Her choice. At the altar, Dante waited. He looked devastatingly handsome in a black tuxedo. But what made Arya's heart stutter was his expression. Awe, love, disbelief that this was real. She reached the altar. He took her hands. Hi, he whispered. Hi. The officiant began, but Arya barely heard the words. She was too focused on Dante's eyes, on the way he looked at her like she was the only person in the world. I, Dante Mancini, take you, Arya Penelope, to be my wife, to love you in peace and protect you in war, to be worthy of your choice every single day. This I vow. I, Arya Penelope, take you, Dante Mancini, to be my husband, to see you when others see a monster, to love you when you forget how to love yourself, to choose you every single day. This I vow. I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may. Dante didn't wait. He pulled Arya into his arms and kissed her. The crowd erupted. The children cheered. And Arya Mancini thought, this is home. The reception was in full swing. Music, dancing, laughter. Arya danced with Dante, with the boys, with Mia. She felt lighter than air. And then, Silas appeared at Dante's shoulder, whispered something. Dante's face went hard. What? Arya asked. Nothing. Just business. I'll handle it. Dante, it's fine. Dance with the kids. I'll be back in 5 minutes. He kissed her forehead and disappeared into the house. Arya watched him go, that familiar dread settling in her stomach. She followed, through the crowd, into the house, down the hallway to Dante's office. The door was closed. She pressed her ear against it. I don't care who sent you, Dante's voice. Cold, lethal. You leave. Now, or you don't leave at all. I'm just delivering a message. An unfamiliar voice. Young, cocky. What message? The Calabrese alliance is nice, but alliances only last as long as they're profitable. And someone's made Salvatore a better offer. Ooh, a pause. The Volkov family. Russians. They want the port. All of it. And they're willing to go to war to get it. Let them try. They already have. The bombing at the warehouse yesterday, that was them. Testing your defenses. There was no bombing yesterday. Check the news, Mancini. Or better yet, check your phone. Silas has been trying to reach you for an hour. Arya's blood went cold. She burst into the office. 3 men. The messenger. Silas. And Dante. Arya, Dante started. Is this true? Was there an attack? Yes. But it was contained. No casualties. I didn't want to ruin the wedding. You lied to me. I protected you. I told you not to do that. The messenger looked between them. Trouble in paradise already? Dante's gun was out in a heartbeat, pressed to the man's forehead. Leave. Now. The messenger raised his hands, back toward the door. The Volkovs will be in touch. He left. Silas followed, leaving Arya and Dante alone. You promised, Arya said, voice shaking. You promised no more secrets. I didn't want to scare you. I'm not scared, Dante. I'm angry. You made this decision for me. Again. Because I'm trying to protect you. I don't need protection. I need a partner. Dante slammed his fist on the desk. You think I don't know that? You think I don't hate that I have to worry about you every second of every day? That I have to calculate whether telling you the truth will make you leave? I'm not leaving. You say that now. But what happens when the next attack comes? When the next bullet flies? When our children are in danger again? Then we handle it. Together. Silence. Dante's shoulders sagged. I don't know how to do this, Arya. I don't know how to be a husband and a father and still be the man who keeps you all safe. Arya crossed the room, took his face in her hands. Then let me help you figure it out. The honeymoon was postponed. The Volkov family was serious. 2 more attacks in a week. 1 at a warehouse. 1 at a shipping facility. No casualties, but the message was clear. Back down or escalate. Dante called a meeting. Not just his men. The entire family. Arya insisted on being there. The war room was in the basement. Concrete walls. Maps. Security feeds. 20 men around a table. And Arya. She was the only woman. All eyes turned to her when she walked in. She doesn't belong here, one of the captains said. She's my wife, Dante replied. She belongs wherever I say she belongs. Anyone disagree? Silence. Good. Silas, report. Silas stood. The Volkovs are moving fast. They've bought out half of Salvatore's men. They're offering triple what we pay. And they've put a bounty on your head, boss. 2 million. Let them try. There's more. They've been asking questions. About your family. The boys. The new wife. Dante's face went cold. They're looking for leverage, another captain said. Then we hit them first, Dante said. Hard. Fast. We eliminate their leadership before they make another move. That's a war, Silas warned. Then it's a war. Stop. Everyone turned to Arya. You're thinking like the old Dante, she said. The one who solves every problem with violence. This problem requires violence. Does it? Or does it require strategy? What are you suggesting? Arya stood. Walked to the map on the wall. The Volkovs want the port. They're offering money to Salvatore's men. But money isn't loyalty. You know what is? Family. She turned to face the room. The Russians are outsiders. They don't understand how this city works. They don't have roots here. We do. So we remind Salvatore's men of that. We remind them that we've been here for generations. That we take care of our own. That the Russians will use them and discard them. And if that doesn't work? A captain asked. Then we show them what happens to outsiders who try to take what's ours. Arya looked at Dante. But we try diplomacy first. Not because we're weak. Because we're smart. Dante stared at her. Then he nodded. Do it. Silas, set up meetings with the defectors. One-on-one. Remind them where their loyalty belongs. And the Volkovs? We wait. Let them make the next move. And when they do, we're ready. One of Salvatore's men, a captain named Marco, agreed to meet. Neutral location. Coffee shop. Public. Arya insisted on going. Absolutely not, Dante said. He'll trust me more than you. Why? Because I'm not a threat. I'm just a wife. A mother. Someone who understands family. Dante didn't like it, but he agreed. With 6 guards stationed around the cafe. Marco was in his 50s. Hard eyes. Scarred hands. He looked at Arya with suspicion. Where's Mancini? Giving us space to talk. I don't talk to wives. Then you're about to start. Arya sat down across from him. The Volkovs offered you money. Lots of it. I get it. You have a family to feed. Kids to put through school. Marco said nothing. But money runs out. And when it does, the Russians will move on to the next guy. They don't care about you. They care about the port. And Mancini does. Dante cares about the people who are loyal to him. Always has. Always will. That's why Salvatore trusted him for 20 years. Salvatore took the Russians' money too. Because he's scared. Because he thinks the Mancinis are weak now. But he's wrong. Arya leaned forward. My husband isn't weak. He's strategic. He stepped back from the daily operations because he's building something bigger, something that will last. And the people who stay loyal, they'll be part of that. And the people who don't, they'll regret it. Marco studied her. You're serious. Deadly. He laughed. A rough, gravelly sound. I like you, Mrs. Mancini. You got fire. Does that mean you're with us? Marco was quiet for a long moment. Then he extended his hand. Tell your husband I'm in, and I'll bring 5 others with me. Arya shook his hand. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. The Volkovs won't take this lying down. Let them try. It happened fast. Marco returned to Dante's fold. Brought 5 men with him. Others followed. Within a week, half of Salvatore's defectors had come back. The Volkovs were losing leverage, and they didn't like it. The bomb was in a package, delivered to the estate, addressed to Mrs. Mancini. Security caught it. Silas disarmed it. But the message was clear. You're next. Dante went ballistic. That's it. We're moving you and the kids. Somewhere safe. Somewhere they can't reach. I'm not leaving. Arya, I'm not leaving. If I run, they win. If I hide, they know they've scared us. They have scared us. No, Arya said, voice steady. They've made me angry. There's a difference. This isn't a game. I know it's not. But I also know that if we run, this never ends. There will always be another threat. Another family. Another bomb. What does it stop, Dante? It doesn't. Then we make it stop. Now. Here. We end this. Ow. Arya looked at him. We go to the Volkovs. We sit down. Face to face. And we offer them a deal they can't refuse. They'll kill us. Maybe. But I don't think so. They want the port. We give them something else. Something better. What could be better? Access to our shipping routes. A partnership. They get a percentage of the profits without the war. Dante stared at her like she'd lost her mind. You want me to partner with the people who just tried to kill my wife? I want you to end this so our children can grow up without fear. Dante called the meeting. The Volkovs agreed. Neutral territory. A warehouse by the docks. Both sides armed. It was madness. But Arya was right. It had to end. The warehouse smelled like salt and oil. Crates stacked to the ceiling. Dim lighting. Shadows everywhere. Dante and Arya walked in together. 6 guard behind them. Across the warehouse, the Volkov delegation. Their leader, Nikolai, was a mountain of a man. Bald. Scarred. Cold eyes. He looked at Arya. You brought your wife to a war council. I brought my partner. They sat at a table. Metal. Cold. Unforgiving. Why are we here, Mancini? Nikolai asked in heavily accented English. Because this war is bad for business, Arya said. Nikolai laughed. The pretty wife speaks. The smart wife speaks, Arya corrected. And the smart wife is offering you a deal. We don't need deals. We take what we want. You try to take what you want, Dante said. And you fail. You've lost half your support. Your attacks have been stopped. And now you're sitting across from me, which means you're desperate. Nikolai's face hardened. We're not desperate. Then why are you here? Arya asked. Silence. We're offering you access to our Atlantic shipping routes, Arya continued. 20% of the profits. No war. No casualties. Just business. Why would we accept 20% when we could take 100? Because you can't, Dante said. You don't have the infrastructure, the connections, the protection. We do. And if you go to war with us, you lose. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. But eventually, you lose. Arya leaned forward. Take the deal, Nikolai. Go home to your family. Let this end with a handshake instead of bloodshed. Nikolai looked at her for a long moment. Then at Dante. Then at his men. 30%. 25, Dante countered. Done. They shook hands. And just like that, another war was averted. As they left the warehouse, Arya let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. I can't believe that worked. I can, Dante said. You have a gift. What gift? Making monsters believe they're men. 2 years later, the estate kitchen was full of noise. The triplets are 9 now. Taller. Louder. Still chaotic. Mia was 8. Still carrying the one-eared rabbit everywhere. And in Arya's arms, a baby. 6 months old. Dark curly hair. Gray eyes. A daughter. Isabella. Dante walked in, scooped up the baby, kissed Arya. The shipment arrived on time. The Volkov partnership is working. And Salvatore called. Wants to have dinner next week. Sounds good. How are you feeling? Tired. Happy. Overwhelmed. So normal. Arya laughed. Leo ran up. Mom, Matteo won't share the Xbox. Matteo. He had it for an hour. Enzo. Set a timer. 10-minute turns. Okay. They scattered. Arya looked at Dante. Is this really our life? Yes. I love it. So do I. He pulled her close. Thank you. For what? For walking into hell and making a home. Epilogue. 5 years later. The Mancini estate was unrecognizable from the dark fortress it once was. The gates were still there. The security still tight. But inside there was light. Laughter. Life. Leo, Matteo, and Enzo were 14. Starting high school. Mia was 13. Already planning her future. Isabella was 5. A tiny hurricane. And in the nursery, twins. Boys. 3 months old. Dante had officially retired. The family business was run by his nephew now. He was just a consultant, an advisor, a grandfather in training. Arya found him in the garden one afternoon. The rose garden where they'd almost kissed. Where the sniper had changed everything. Thinking about old times? She asked. Thinking about how far we've come. Arya sat beside him. Do you miss it? The life? Sometimes. But then I come home. See the kids. See you. And I remember, this is the life worth living. Even with the chaos. Especially with the chaos. They sat in comfortable silence. I have something to tell you, Arya said. Oh, I'm pregnant. Dante blinked. Again. He laughed. Full. Deep. Joyful. How many kids are we going to have? I don't know, but we're about to find out. He kissed her. I love you, Arya Mancini. I love you too. You beautiful disaster. Everyone said Dante Mancini was a monster. They said his sons were feral. They said the estate was hell. And they were right. Until Arya Penelope walked through those gates with nothing but $42, a worn suitcase, and a desperate hope of survival. She didn't have weapons. She didn't have power. She had something more dangerous. She had compassion. And in a world built on fear and violence, compassion was revolutionary. She didn't tame a monster by fighting him. She tamed him by seeing him, by refusing to run when others did, by standing in the fire and saying, I'm not afraid of you. And slowly, painfully, beautifully, he became something he never thought possible. Human. Because at the end of the day, we're all just broken things looking for someone brave enough to love us anyway. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is make breakfast. Feed the hungry. Hold the scared. And turn a fortress into a home. One pancake at a time.